so glad that you're here today. So in today's video, me and my husband, we are going to be canning or jarring some peaches and figs from our fruit trees. So we're going to be doing that, so I hope that you enjoy this video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Spring with Spring Soulful Home, and as I mentioned, I'm so glad you're here and that you'll join along. Alright, so the first thing that we're doing is my husband says, get the peach and you just barely cut a little X on the skin. So we're doing this before we blanch them, and we already have our pot of water. We have our pot of water that is boiling. So first we have to prep them, he says, and when you cut the X in the peaches, you don't want to cut it all the way down. You want to just barely break the skin. So I think we've pretty much got all the peaches all done here. Did you want to do something? Alright, so what we're going to do next is we're going to blanch the peaches, and we have them, as I mentioned, they have a little X in them. So my husband is going to put it into the water has to be at a rolling boil, which it is right now. For 1 minute. Alright, so now we're going to take the peaches out, and then we're going to blanch them in ice cold water. We already have the ice in there. So the next step that we do once we've blanched the peaches is you have to peel them. You can use a knife or do it by hand. I used a knife, my husband did it by hand, and then you have to pit the peaches, and my husband's just bulldozing through that. He's just using his hands, and because our peaches are homegrown, they are much smaller. So I was using a knife, and we're going to blend the peaches up anyway. So he's just taking them out with his hand, which is going a lot quicker than what I was doing here with the knife. And you have to weigh them just so that way you can follow directions appropriately. So that is the next step after you blanch your peaches. And like I said, my husband's just getting through it like nothing. So once we're done with this, we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so what we're doing now is we have our water, clean water, boiling because we need to sterilize the jars, and then so that's going, and then the next thing we have is our peaches, and my husband's done a good job of basically blending those up with his hand, and we ended up with 4 cups of peaches. So for every cup of fresh peaches we have, you have to add 1 cup of sugar. So we also have 4 cups of sugar, and then how much of the pectin?
1.25 ounces. And
then we have 1.25 ounces. My husband measured that out according to how many cups of peaches we have. And then we need to add 1.5 tablespoons of fresh lime juice. So we're going to bring this to a boil for how long? Okay, we're just going to bring the peach preserves just to a boil. And you also need to add 1/2 tablespoon of butter
to reduce foaming.
To reduce the foaming. water is now boiling and we are going to put our jars in here and our lids for 10 minutes. So once you place the jars in there, you do want to place them in carefully, and this was my very first time doing canning on my own. My husband had previously done this a few nights before, so he was already pretty familiar with what to do, so he was walking me through. But you do want to make sure that you put the jars in there carefully. And then here my husband has already started putting the peach preserves in the jar. Once you place them in there, you want to be sure that you leave half an inch headspace from the top of the jar, and then you want to wipe it down with a paper towel just to make sure there's no preserves on the lid of or the rim of the jar. Then you place the little cap and then the seal and then the cap on top, and then we'll place those back into the water until we're done filling our cans or jars with our peach preserves. Alright, so all of the directions as far as how to can fresh peach preserves, I will have those directions in my description box. That way you can refer back to them. I greatly appreciate you watching my video today. I hope that it brought you some inspiration to can your own peaches. And I will also have a website linked below so you can refer back to. Again, thank you so much for watching the video. Your support really means so much. And be sure to subscribe and turn on your bell notifications. You all have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye-bye now.